Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the second ever Feel Good Social Podcast playlist episode where I am sharing our best past episodes that you can go back and listen to based on a certain topic. And today's topic just so happens to be content creation. So once again, I'm going to be overly enthusiastic because content creation is one of my favorite topics. I know that is one of your favorite topics as a Feel Good Social Podcast listener because I get so many questions about content creation, and these episodes tend to be our most downloaded, most popular episodes ever, right? So if you struggle with content creation, if you struggle to come up with content ideas or figure out how to create your posts all the time, every week, then this podcast playlist episode is for you, my friend. I'm going to be sharing our 7 most popular, best episodes with the best tips for content creation and all that jazz. And I cannot wait to dive in. So I hope that when you're listening to today's episode, you find at least one episode that you haven't listened to yet, or maybe it's one that you have listened to a while ago and you're like, oh, I better go back and give that a second listen. I will not judge you, my friend. I do that all the time with my own podcasts and listening habits, okay? So if you hear an episode in today's podcast playlist that you want to go back and give a listen, you either just go back and scroll back to the number of episode that whatever I say in the title, right? Or I have linked each of these episodes in the show notes below. So all you have to do is look and click the link next to the episode that you want to listen to. I hope that you find one that you love. I cannot wait to share them with you. Let's go ahead and dive in. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. All right, my friend, before I dive into sharing our 7 content creation episodes that you should totally go back and listen to, I do have to warn you, as is per usual, almost every week that I record an episode for this podcast, my dogs are currently sleeping next to me, and they usually decide to start dreaming right as soon as I hit the record button, right? And they're just so dang cute, I cannot kick them out. And I don't think they'll make too much noise or be too distracting, but I just got to tell you, if you hear like a dramatic sigh or something like that, it's either Stan or Tark or Willie, and they're just deciding that they are having to breathe very heavily right now. Okay, so just had to warn you about that. But anyway, let's dive into the 7 episodes that are all about content creation that you should totally go back and listen to. The first episode I want to share with you is episode 117. 6 tips for creating content that your ideal customers actually pay attention to. And I love this episode so much. I'm going to say that like every freaking episode that I share with you today. I'm so sorry, apologizing in advance, but they are all so good. And I love this episode so much because this is one of those topics that we all really need to think about, right? And I think that we all feel deeply. There is so much content swirling around the interwebs, right? And there are so many brands out there that are similar to yours and posting content that is similar to yours as well, right? So episode 117 is sharing 6 tips that will help your content stand out online, that will help your content grab your ideal customers' attention and hold their attention for long enough so that you actually can get your point across to them, right? Because we all know how minimal attention spans are as well. And so this is all about how you can make sure that your content is the best content it can be in order to make it worth it for you to create and help you drive those conversions with your ideal customers, right? So I know you're going to love this episode. I can't wait to share it with you. Let's go ahead and take a listen. This is one of the most helpful tips when it comes to creating content that's fresh and in the moment that your ideal customers want to pay attention to, right? Because we're in the middle of our businesses and we often get sucked into all of the swirling things happening around us. And we think that we are creating content about topics that our ideal customers need, right? Or that we think it's what they want and all that different stuff. But often it's not. All right, my friend, the next content creation themed episode that I want to share with you is minisode 22, 5 content pillars that you can post every week. Okay. And there's so many good things about this episode. Firstly, it's a minisode. So it is under 20 minutes, which is amazing because I know how busy you are for sure. And also these are 5 themes, 5 content pillars that you can just post every week. You can post again and again and again in different ways. And honestly, if your goal is to post 5 times a week for your brand, well, hey, these 5 content pillars are all you need, right? So it makes content creation so easy. It takes the guesswork out of it. And I get very detailed and give content ideas for the different types of posts that you could create based on these content pillars. Let's go ahead and take a sneak listen. Now, the third content pillar that you could post about every week is a behind the scenes post, sharing behind the scenes of your process or giving insight into how you work with people or anything like that. What's going on behind the scenes in your business. This is another great way to drive deeper connection with your ideal customers. And it kind of makes them feel like they're closer to your brand, like they're on the inside circle of your brand when they get to see the behind the scenes. Plus, it's just really interesting for people to see how you work. And when you can show that to them, they'll be much more likely to want to buy from you because they feel like they understand you more so. All right, the next episode that I want to share with you is episode 37, Multiply Your Content with Post Stacking. And my friend, this is an oldie but a goodie. I remember when I was creating this episode, it was back when I was doing the editing for the podcast myself. We were about to leave on a road trip to California for 2 weeks. And I was just like, I don't have an episode recorded. Screw it. I am going to include the recording from one of the lessons in my online course, The Social Map. So basically, episode 37 is just a sneak peek behind the scenes into one of the lessons that I recorded for my online course, The Social Map, that's all about what I call post stacking. So it's basically talking about taking a theme, taking one post that you write or create or one post idea and breaking it up into multiple posts so that you can create multiple pieces of content off of one theme, one idea, approach it from different ways, and really generate more content for yourself just based on one idea, right? It's so fun. I get so nerdy when it comes to this stuff. I know you'll love this episode. So let's take a sneak listen.
So real talk, real quick, my friend. Instagram's algorithm will actually only show your social media post to about 10% of your followers on a good day. That means that only 10% of your followers are actually having the opportunity to see your post pop up in their feed. Pretty depressing, right? And then on top of that, even if someone's feed has your post in it, they're just scrolling along really quickly. Again, we're being bombarded with so much content every day. And so there's a very good chance that even if your post shows up in their feed, they might not pay attention to it. It's likely that they could just scroll on by because it becomes kind of habit, right? To just keep scrolling. It is okay to talk about the same thing again and again and again because there's a likely chance that people have not seen that yet.
All right, my friend, the next episode that I want to share with you on our content creation playlist is minisode 41, 6 templates that you can create and use again and again in your brand's content. Okay. So this is again a minisode. So it's a shorter, very, very actionable episode. I know my busy people out there are going to love it. Definitely add this to your listening playlist for the holidays. And basically it's talking about how you can just, whenever you go to create content next, how about create 6 templates that you can reuse again and again and again for your brand? You don't have to start from scratch every time you go to create a post for your brand. Every time you go to create a graphic for your brand, you don't have to create new. It's actually more strategic to create templates for your brand and post similar templates again and again and again, because it helps to make your brand more recognizable online for your ideal customers, right? So I'm sharing a little bit more about insight into that idea in minisode 41. And also I'm sharing the 6 different types of templates that you can create. And then you don't really have to create any more templates or graphics again if you don't want to. Let's go ahead and take a sneak listen to minisode 41. In order to be as strategic as possible with your content, you need to be repeating yourself, whether it's with the colors, the graphics, the topics, and the captions even, right? So it's okay to repeat yourself. And if you think you're boring, that's okay, because you're in the middle of your content creation and you do see every single one of your posts. But everyone else doesn't. And they're consuming so much content all the time that you really need to repeat yourself in order to be remembered and for your ideal customers to actually take the actions that you want them to take, right? All right, my friend. The next episode I want to share with you is minisode 34. And it's 3 easy reels that you can create for your brand in 5 minutes. And in the episode title, I put in parentheses, not even joking, because I literally have created these 3 types of reels in 5 minutes for Feel Good Social and for multiple of my content clients, right? I am fully of the opinion that we do not need to overcomplicate our content creation process, right? The more simple we can do, like it doesn't have to be perfect mindset, adapt that mindset, like the better, right? It's a social media post. And so these are 3 easy reels that you can just create in 5 minutes for your brand and have them done with. And hey, guess what? You can actually create multiple of these types of reels. So, you really have a lot of potential here in this episode. Let's go ahead and take a sneak listen. But ultimately, we just want to start showing up. We just want to start practicing showing up, right? I think it's a good idea to start dabbling in reels because they're actually easier and more fun than I thought they were going to be. And also, they do get the best reach online right now. So might as well start practicing creating reels and you'll get better and better at it. But also don't feel the pressure to show up and do it every day, or show up and be perfect immediately, or show up and make the most complicated reel ever for a first reel. No, that doesn't need to happen, which is why I'm sharing the 3 easy reels that you can create in 5 minutes. Okay, the next episode that I want to share with you when it comes to our content creation playlist is minisode 19. Once again, a minisode, a short, actionable episode. I love those. But minisode 19, how to create 5 Instagram posts from 1 blog post. And oh my gosh, this one is so fun. And I've actually gotten a lot of feedback from this one. People just reaching out to me on Instagram being like, that was so helpful. Actually, most of the episodes on this playlist, I've heard back feedback from fellow listeners being like, I've listened to this multiple times. Thank you for this episode, right? But anyway, this is one of those episodes that I've had people come to me be like, oh, thank you. This is just so helpful, right? And it's basically just in the title of the episode, how you take one of your blog posts and you can break it into 5 or more social media posts. And I get nitty gritty into the specifics of what copy you could just copy and paste, what you need to tweak, how you can break it up, all those different things. It is so fun. It's somewhat going off the multiply your posts with post stacking, but getting very specific to your blog posts. So if you have a blog and you have not been utilizing that for multiple posts on social media, my friend, give this a listen. Oh, also, side note, you can totally go back and post about old blogs on social media, right? You can totally use this episode to go break down all of your past blog posts and post about those on your Instagram account. It does not have to be in real time, my friend. So just had to put that out there. Okay, let's give this episode a sneak listen. Sharing quicker versions of your tip from the blog post itself in one carousel post or reel, right? So a lot of times when we're creating blog posts, it's like 3 tips for, 5 ways to, anything like that, right? Often blog posts that are kind of list of tips or valuable content perform really well. And it's just a really easy way to break down a blog post, right? So you can turn all of your tips into one carousel post that's kind of sharing a quick overview of each of the tips that you're sharing in your blog post. And then call to action, head to the link in my bio to dive deeper into each of these tips. Okay, update on the dog situation. 2 of my dogs decided to leave the room of their own doing, of their own accord, right? And thankfully, they did decide to do it while I was kind of sitting here for a break in between these episode shares. So that's pretty fun. But anyway, just had to share that little tidbit because I don't know, I laugh about my dogs all the time. Okay, my friend, the final episode that I wanted to share with you when it comes to our content creation playlist is minisode 31, 3 in-depth post prompts for your brand's content. Okay. And this is one of those, instead of like, ooh, create this type of post or this or that type of post or whatever it is, this is one of those episodes where I am asking a thoughtful question of you. And I'm really getting detailed about what it means, why it works, how you can think about answering it, all that different stuff, right? It's not just a post prompt that's like, what inspires you? I'm talking about what is behind the question and how you can answer it in a way that will be relatable and helpful to your ideal customers, right? So in minisode 31, I'm sharing 3 in-depth post prompts for your brand's content. Let's go ahead and give it a sneak listen. Okay, so how do you share your brand's origin story? Well, the core behind this prompt is the story behind why and how you started your business, plus how and why your business has evolved over time. Because that will help you tell the story of the transformation of your business, which is not only super relatable for people, but also it helps in the storytelling process to make your story more interesting, right? It's called the story arc, where you have a before, then you go through some sort of change, then you have an after and some sort of conclusion, which is really, really satisfying in story form for whoever is reading or listening to your story, right? So that's why this evolution and the transformation is really, really helpful and important to include for your brand. All right, my friend, that is our content creation playlist episode for the Feel Good Social podcast. I truly hope that you found at least one episode that you would love to listen to from this playlist. Like I said in last week's playlist all about selling, these episodes, hopefully you might find like one that you haven't listened to before. But if you have listened to one of these, but it's been a while, I will not judge you if you go back and re-listen to an episode. I do that all the time with the super actionable, helpful episodes from my favorite podcasters. And most of the episodes that I shared in today's are super actionable, like get out a pen and paper kind of episodes, right? So I hope that you found something that you add to your holiday listening playlist. Don't forget, I will be back on January 3rd with a fresh episode 150 of the Feel Good Social podcast. And I will be talking all about the social media marketing trends for 2023. It's not going to be an episode you'll want to miss. So definitely check back in.